Hey my foodie friends and family, how you doing? Hope you're well. I'm having a super day, so I think you will too. Today I'm going to do a sauteed pork loin with pan gravy. Now, I'm using some fast fry pork loin chops, which are very lean. Don't be tempted to cut all the fat off because it'll end up like the bottom of your shoe. You can substitute the pork loin with chicken or turkey scallops. Anything would be delicious, whatever you like. I've got about 8 fast fry pork loin chops here, and I'm sprinkling them with some paprika. This happens to be smoked paprika, which adds a really wonderful flavor to pork. You're going to think that you're eating pork barbecue once we're done here today, without sugar or molasses or tomato. I'm adding some salt and pepper. I'm using sea salt and fresh ground black pepper. You use whatever you like. This would be the time to add some hot pepper if you like. I'm also adding some minced garlic powder. I want to make sure that all the chops have got all the seasoning on every corner. You don't want to take a bite of chop and it tastes like nothing and then the other side is super salty. I'm also sprinkling some flour. This will help to seal in the juices of the meat. It will help with the pan gravy at the end of the recipe. We don't need to really dredge the meat. We just need to make sure that it's got some on it. This is not like making schnitzel or anything like that where you need to have egg and flour and all that business. This is much simpler. So I'm flipping the chops over to the other side, and I'm going to season the same way as I did the first side. I had to say the pork is absolutely gorgeous on this recipe. I got it on sale. It has very little fat, and it's absolutely delicious. But like I said, it's just as good with chicken scallops or turkey scallops. Delicious. And you could use this with hamburger patties too. Now we're getting the seasoning all done on this side, and we're getting ready to get them in a saute pan and fry them up. There's some more flour for this side. You guys make things like this with pan gravy? I'd love to hear your recipe. I mean, pan gravy can be found just about in every culture, I think. Every culture makes some kind of use of the juices from the meat. You know, pan gravy goes back to the south of the United States, where they make cream gravy and onion gravy. The Germans love mushroom gravy. The Indians love curry gravy. It's all over the place. And it's good, that's why. So in a skillet, I'm using 2 tablespoons of oil. This happens to be extra virgin olive oil, but you can use whatever you like. Canola is a good substitute. I would not use butter or margarine or lard or anything like that. You don't need any saturated fat for this. So I'm going to saute the pork loin one layer at a time. So don't overcrowd the pan. We do want the meat to get brown, not boil in its own juices. And the only way to ensure that is to make sure you keep them separate and in one layer. Get them a little room to brown. There we go. Make this on medium-high heat. We want it to cook rather quickly. If you overcook pork loin, I'm going to warn you, if you overcook it, you might as well glue it to the bottom of your shoe. That's how tough it's going to be. This meat has very little fat. So if you overcook it, it's going to be tough glazes. The same goes for chicken breast schnitzel or turkey breast schnitzel. Keep an eye on the cooking. It only needs maybe a couple of minutes on each side. Remember, we're going to throw it back into the pan with the gravy, and it's going to braise just for a minute or two till the gravy gets thick. So it will be cooked when you're done, so don't be paranoid about it being undercooked. So in the fat that's left in the pan, this is olive oil as I mentioned, I'm adding a little bit of flour. The amount here really depends on how much fat you have in the pan. You need equal parts of fat and oil to make a roux, and I've added about a half a teaspoon of flour, but I'm seeing that there's more fat, so I'm going to add another half a teaspoon. You'll kind of see the flour bubble up as it cooks. We need to cook out the starch molecules in the flour so that they open up and absorb all the liquid that we're going to add to this and make it delicious. The intent here is not to brown the flour, so we're not looking for a brown roux. We're looking for this beautiful light colored roux that we've got with the pork, because we want to be able to see the pork through it. If it was dark beef meat and that kind of stuff, then yeah, make dark gravy, that's good. I'm adding chicken stock. Again, the amount depends on the gravy that you want, the amount of gravy that you want to make. This chicken stock happens to have roasted garlic in it. There's also a chicken stock with white wine. Either would be good. If you don't have any of those, water is just fine. Vegetable stock will do as well. So I've added about, about a third a cup. It really depends on, like I said, how much flour and oil you have. This needs to come to a full boil to get its full thickening power. I'm also adding a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Are you seeing how this relation with barbecue is starting to come together? Smoked paprika, garlic, apple cider vinegar, and now we're going to add honey. It's sounding like barbecue except for the tomato and the molasses and sugar. So I'm adding 1 tablespoon of honey here. This is going to make an absolutely delicious pan gravy for pork. Now, I have not added any vegetables to this, but you certainly can. Some diced up mushrooms would be good. Sliced peppers and onions would be good. You can have it any way you like, whatever you prefer. Or you can eat your veggies in a salad instead. I wanted to keep this very simple and very clean tasting, so I wasn't going to muddle flavors with vegetables or mushrooms. But you do you, right? You do whatever you like. I'm going to re-season the pan gravy with some salt and pepper, just a little bit because you need some adjustment. It's not going to be tasty enough just plain. I'm adding the pork back into the pan gravy. I'm also going to add any juices that have accumulated in the plate. You know, when meat sits for a while, it exudes some juice. Add that back into your gravy. It's going to be delicious. So we only need this to sit and braise for a couple of minutes, and that's what you have. You have this beautiful pork loin with pan gravy, with honey and vinegar. It's delicious. Recipe, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel. Can always use some more foodies here. Thanks for stopping by for some more food that warms your soul and mine too. We'll see you next time.